So all this time, I've been going over basically the projects and the ideas of getting KayATick started, and I think I wanted to take it back a little bit and let's just get into the business organization, some of the the grit and bones of getting a business started, entrepreneurship. Some of these things that help get the hip hop media company started. And with hip hop, and I hate to say this, but it's kind of always been like a copycat genre. So when you see somebody get on with something, there's always going to be a whole bunch of other people trying to get on that same wavelength, if that makes sense. And hip hop, like I said, is no different. When I started my company, Crazed Entertainment, I started that one back in 1994. Like I said, I went ahead and did like the fictitious business name. I went ahead and tried to make sure that nobody's using that name at the time. And at the time, not a lot of people were putting together labels and music companies. Now they were, but it wasn't as like in an abundance as it is now. And we fast forward, like I said, I shut down Crazed and started KayATick. And this one, I want to say this is the first business that I probably started correct, if that makes sense as well. Because this one, I went ahead and had to figure out, things like setting up the business, getting a trademark. And the interesting thing about the trademark is that there were, I want to say, 9 people ahead of me for KayATick for the name. And I somehow finagled my way to getting it before everybody. And that took persistence and a lot of experience gained, just, on how not to stop. I didn't want to give up the name KayATick. And apparently it's a pretty popular name because there's a lot of different variations of KayATick in the trademark registry board. And like I said, I was able to kind of secure that name last on the list, but first to be able to secure that name. So that was a business step as well. Me and my guy Invincible always talk about marketing. I always think that a lot of people think with music, sometimes I think they go into the booth, you record a hot song, and if the song is hot, then the people love it, then you're on. And I don't think that's really how it works. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I actually know it's not how it works. I know for a lot of times, as far as being a smaller company, we do need the people to recognize the music. You know what I mean? That is a plus. We definitely need the people to put their seal of approval on it. With the bigger companies, they have millions of dollars to put behind, posters and radio advertising and television advertising. And, they put people on promo tours, and there's a lot of different things that work behind the scenes to make sure that that song gets the proper attention to make it be a hit. And I don't think a lot of people notice that in the beginning. Maybe they pick that up a little later. And as far as the music business goes, I know with rap, you're supposed to write your own rhymes, but a lot of times, some of the songs you hear are probably recorded by many, many different artists. And these are with the bigger companies. And so whatever song performs the best normally is the one that's released, and that ends up being your hit in the cycle. So marketing is a big key, especially being underground or being independent. And on top of that, everybody's dropping music every 10 seconds, so you're competing with underground independent artists as well as major artists with a huge amount of money. So it takes a lot of perseverance to try and keep maintaining a media company under like those kind of conditions. And then making a profit. So music has been, I want to say, devalued. Most of the time, a lot of people aren't going to pay anything for your music. And I know a lot of people probably hear on like Facebook or Instagram, a lot of artists complaining like, hey, I put studio time and I wrote this song days, and I did the artwork and I did record everything and put it, master it, and all that stuff does cost an incredible amount of money. So shout out to all the artists that still happen to go ahead and put their craft, even though it is expensive and pretty much deemed free. Making a profit off of the music is pretty much impossible unless you're, like I said, a big tier artist that probably had millions to back them to get that song, kind of rolling in the first place. So a lot of artists turn to their merch or turn to shows, which in 2020 has been difficult. But a lot of artists turn to these other avenues to try and gain money, and trying to turn a profit. Now, with a media company, and especially an independent media company, you have to give a lot of your content, which would basically you be charging somebody or to license or use in some sort of way. You initially have to give a majority of that content up for free. And your music is free, your content is free, like your short films, and your merch, you're kind of developing on the fly, not on the fly, but it's kind of being documented, and that takes time and process. So turning a profit in a media company, especially if you're not like a Time Warner or Universal, these just huge conglomerates, is going to be a bit difficult, I guess, in the beginning. Now, there are definitely media production companies finding their own lane in podcasting, as you see. That's the big topic right now, the Joe Budden podcast, and all these people signing up to different carriers and IPs just to get their content out. So there's ways that you can capitalize on that. But in the beginning, you're going to have to give a lot of your content out for free. And it doesn't really make for good business, I guess, long term. You know what I'm saying? Or short term, because you're putting a lot more money into it. Now, if you don't have millions of dollars like these big super major labels that have been around forever, that have kind of grandfathered their way into the rules, you're going to have to put a lot of money, time, and effort to get some results. And not saying it's impossible, because you see people doing it every day on YouTube and different websites and stuff. It does happen, but you are going to need to put in some time, some work, and a lot of money just to compete. Just that time and energy, because those big those big companies have a whole bunch of people trying to get to that same goal, where you might just have you and a few people, or just you yourself. And it just makes it a little difficult. So you have to persevere if you really, really want this. And I think with KayATick, I've been doing this, like I said, since like 94, 95, with Crazed changed to KayATick in 2012. I don't know if I necessarily do this. I don't know how to describe that for necessarily, like, I guess, the money benefit or aspect of it. I think I love the culture so much that I would like to leave a legacy of some sort of how much I love the culture. But it is difficult, as you're going through years and years of this project, doing so good, this project doing well, this one not so well. It's emotional, especially as a man. Personally, me, taught not to be emotional at all. You just kind of just, whatever, just roll with the punches. But there's a lot of emotion because you're creating music that's emotional. You're invested in the numbers that come back. You're invested in how many people are paying attention, if this is even necessary to continue. But like I said, with business, sometimes I guess you just got to kind of keep going, keep persevering. You're losing money constantly. You don't know when the corner is going to turn to, maybe get you into that black status of, making a little bit of money, be able to maneuver a little better. But it is something that you kind of got to keep pressing along. Like, to me at this point, I was like, well, if KayATick does blow, great. If it doesn't, I'm basically documenting everything that I did in my life before I pass away or something. It's kind of like that legacy thing at this point.